Before science and psychology provided answers about our world, people used myths to explain strange things in nature, the creation of the world, and human actions and emotions. Different cultures had different stories to try to explain things. Most myths have supernatural beings or events. Greek mythology is the most popular and influential, but many cultures around the world had their own tales and stories. An interesting Greek myth that explains the changing of the seasons is the story of Persephone. Persephone was the sweet daughter of Demeter, the goddess of harvest and fertility, and Zeus, the king of the gods. Demeter was very worried because many men wanted to be with her lovely daughter. She was a fiercely protective mom. The man who was most interested in Persephone was Hades, the god of the underworld. He was a hard, middle-aged man living in the dark among the shadows of the dead. But his heart would soften when he saw Persephone, and he was amazed by her youth and her beauty and her freshness. He asked Demeter to marry Persephone, but Demeter said that that would never happen. This angered Hades. So one day, when Persephone was picking flowers, the earth opened beneath her feet, and Hades came out of the earth with his chariot and black horses. He grabbed her, descended into his underworld kingdom, and the earth closed behind them. So now she was stuck with Hades. Demeter was very worried and upset, and she asked Helios, the sun god, if he knew what had happened to Persephone. He told her, and she became so angry that she stopped doing her duties. The earth began to dry up, all the harvests failed, plants lost their fruit, animals died from lack of food, and famine spread everywhere. The people of Earth were suffering because of this, and they begged Zeus to help them. Zeus told his wife Demeter that if Persephone was being held against her will, he would make her come back. But Hades found out about this and gave Persephone pomegranate seeds. Now, the pomegranate seeds made people miss being in the underworld. So when Persephone was asked where she wanted to live, she said the underworld because she had eaten the seeds. Demeter knew somehow that her daughter had been tricked. So, to put an end to the fight, Zeus decided that Persephone would spend half the year in the underworld and half the year with her mother. So when Persephone was with Hades, Demeter was sad and not in the mood for the harvest. The earth would decline into autumn and winter. When Persephone was with her mother, Demeter would shine from happiness, and the land would become fertile and fruitful, and this was spring and summer. And the cycle would continue year after year, thus explaining the annual changing of the seasons. Myths like the one you just heard were also used to explain about humans and why they act the way they do. They warn about what happens if you have too much pride or if you're too arrogant. In another Greek myth, King Sisyphus was greedy and deceitful. He killed travelers and guests who came to his kingdom. After many terrible deeds and as punishment, King Sisyphus had to roll a boulder up a steep hill. He thought he was smarter than Zeus, so Zeus made it so that every time Sisyphus got the stone almost to the top of the mountain, it would roll away and back down to the bottom of the mountain. And Sisyphus had to spend eternity trying to push that same boulder up that same mountain. Of course, this was useless and frustrating. And this story teaches us not to be greedy in life, not to be tricky, not to be too prideful. Myths are an interesting and important part of oral history. And in Lesson 2, you will learn about the main gods and goddesses of Greek mythology.